World is changing. Due to technological evolution, world is changing with rapid pace. Is this a positive change? As we are now more technologically advanced. But other side of picture is telling a different story. The story of global warming. Conventional sources for producing energy are largely relays on fossil fuel. Fossil fuels are used in locomotive and for generating electricity. By using fossil fuel for our energy requirements, we are polluting our climate. Because during conversion of fuel into desired form of energy, the byproducts are also be generated. These byproducts are in the form of carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, etc., which are the main causes of global warming. In recent years, the usage for fossil fuel is increased, which also vanishing the fossil fuel reserves. Due to this, world is leading toward energy scarcity in future. Most of underdeveloped countries are facing energy crises due to high price of crude oil in international market, which affecting the development. Most developing countries have abundant renewable energy resources, including solar energy, wind power, geothermal energy, and biomass, as well as the ability to manufacture the relatively labor-intensive systems that harness these. By developing such energy sources, developing countries can reduce their dependence on oil and natural gas, creating energy portfolios that are less vulnerable to price rises. In many circumstances, these investments can be less expensive than fossil fuel energy systems. Renewable energy, often referred to as clean energy, comes from natural sources or processes that are constantly replenished. For example, sunlight or wind keep shining and blowing, even if their availability depends on time and weather. While renewable energy is often thought of as a new technology, harnessing nature's power has long been used for heating, transportation, lighting, and more. Wind has powered boats to sail the seas and windmills to grind grain. The sun has provided warmth during the day and helped kindle fires to last into the evening. Now that we have increasingly innovative and less expensive ways to capture and retain wind and solar energy, renewables are becoming a more important power source. The expansion in renewables is also happening at scales large and small, from rooftop solar panels on homes that can sell power back to the grid to giant offshore wind farms. Even some entire rural communities rely on renewable energy for heating and lighting. Humans have been harnessing solar energy for thousands of years to grow crops, stay warm, and dry foods. According to the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, more energy from the sun falls on the earth in 1 hour than is used by everyone in the world in 1 year. Today, we use the sun's rays in many ways to heat homes and businesses, to warm water, or power devices. Solar, or photovoltaic (PV), cells are made from silicon or other materials that transform sunlight directly into electricity. Distributed solar systems generate electricity locally for homes and businesses, either through rooftop panels or community projects that power entire neighborhoods. Solar supplies a little more than 1% of U.S. electricity generation. But nearly a third of all new generating capacity came from solar in 2017, second only to natural gas. We have come a long way from old-fashioned windmills. Today, turbines as tall as skyscrapers, with turbines nearly as wide in diameter, stand at attention around the world. Wind energy turns a turbine's blades, which feeds an electric generator and produces electricity. Wind, which accounts for a little more than 6% of U.S. generation, has become the cheapest energy source in many parts of the country. Turbines can be placed anywhere with high wind speeds such as hilltops and open plains or even offshore in open water. Hydropower is the largest renewable energy source for electricity in the United States, though wind energy is soon expected to take over the lead. Hydropower relies on water, typically fast-moving water in a large river or rapidly descending water from a high point, and converts the force of that water into electricity by spinning a generator's turbine blades. Nationally and internationally, large hydroelectric plants, or mega dams, are often considered to be non-renewable energy. Mega dams divert and reduce natural flows, restricting access for animal and human populations that rely on rivers. Small hydroelectric plants, an installed capacity below about 40 megawatts, carefully managed, do not tend to cause as much environmental damage as they divert only a fraction of flow. Biomass is organic material that comes from plants and animals and includes crops, waste wood, and trees. When biomass is burned, the chemical energy is released as heat and can generate electricity with a steam turbine. Biomass is often mistakenly described as a clean renewable fuel and a greener alternative to coal and other fossil fuels for producing electricity. However, recent science shows that many forms of biomass, especially from forests, produce higher carbon emissions than fossil fuels. There are also negative consequences for biodiversity. Still, some forms of biomass energy could serve as a low-carbon option under the right circumstances. For example, sawdust and chips from sawmills that would otherwise quickly decompose and release carbon can be a low-carbon energy source. The Earth's core is about as hot as the sun's surface due to the slow decay of radioactive particles in rocks at the center of the planet. Drilling deep wells brings very hot underground water to the surface as a hydrothermal resource, which is then pumped through a turbine to create electricity. Geothermal plants typically have low emissions if they pump the steam and water they use back into the reservoir. There are ways to create geothermal plants where there are not underground reservoirs, but there are concerns that they may increase the risk of an earthquake in areas already considered geological hotspots. Tidal and wave energy is still in a developmental phase, but the ocean will always be ruled by the moon's gravity, which makes harnessing its power an attractive option. Some tidal energy approaches may harm wildlife, such as tidal barrages, which work much like dams and are located in an ocean bay or lagoon. Like tidal power, wave power relies on dam-like structures or ocean floor anchored devices on or just below the water's surface.